Though we can't be together in person, the Student Center for Diversity and Inclusion gathered leaders from all walks of life to express to you why Transgender Day of Remembrance is important.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Iannucci. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and I serve as the Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Villanova University. I'm honored to be a member of Transgender Day of Remembrance at Drexel University this year. I used to work at Drexel University, so it holds a place in my heart. But I just wanted to say that Transgender Day of Remembrance is an important day. It's an important day to stop to think about people who are victimized because of identity and who are struggling to be safe in our world. I think my message as an advocate for minoritized communities would be our approach has to be greater than celebrating annual events and email check-ins and programs. We have to think about and evaluate how our systems are creating oppression for minoritized communities, and in this case specifically gender minoritized communities. I would say about my message to those who identify within the trans and non-binary communities. I would just say to you that I admire you. I admire your courage in the world and your authenticity to show up against systems that don't see you or don't identify with you because of our cisnormative, heteronormative world. I would also say that I'm a resource while I'm not at Drexel University anymore. I'm not so far away. I identify as non-binary and queer, and I am someone that is here if anyone needs anything. And also just to continue going and continue to advocate for each other and your communities, and to continue to push the systems around you to do and be better for and with you. But I appreciate being here today, and just to remind you that you are beautiful and that you are not alone. And just to say that to Drexel also, that this is an amazing program that happens, and I think it's an amazing thing that it's continuing to happen. So thank you for all that you do.
Hello, my name is Charlie. I'm a fourth-year computer science major, and I am a proud queer and transgender man. Trans Day of Remembrance is a very emotional day for me, as it signifies a long, hard-fought battle against transphobia and discrimination. Today is a day of mourning, grief, but most importantly, love. Today, I'd like to share a very close and important story with you. This is a story of Sophia. Sophia is a young trans person, although they didn't really know it yet. Where they grew up, transgender was not in their vocabulary, and being gay was a sin. There was no support for the LGBTQ plus community. They grew up with a lot of self-doubt and isolation. After a long night of arguing with parents about whether or not they could wear a suit to their concert, Sophia attempted suicide. Thankfully, they were not successful. But being suicidal for so long changes your thought process. There is no longer hope or planning for the future. There is a day-to-day battle to survive. Sophia fought their way through high school, through the transphobia, through the self-doubt and the isolation and abuse and trauma, until one day they were accepted into college. The idea of a future was so foreign but exciting. They never thought that they would survive high school, much less go to college. Sadly, Sophia didn't go to college. Thankfully, Charlie did. Charlie is a proud transgender man. Charlie uses he/him pronouns. He has confidence. He is comfortable. He is happy. But depression doesn't go away instantly. Depression is also a long, fought battle. But this time, when Charlie was suicidal, he called his friends, tore up the note, and went to sleep safely. There is little difference between Sophia and Charlie. They are two halves of the same whole. However, Charlie had support where Sophia didn't. Charlie had support where Sophia needed it. Charlie had the beautiful opportunity to blossom and grow and support his community. So today, we may feel hopeless in the face of transphobia, that there is nothing that we can do to prevent transphobia and discrimination in our community. However, every single day that we stand together as a community is a day that we save lives. Every day that we are out and proud and supportive, we save lives. So today, let us mourn the family we've lost. Today, let us remember the lives we've lost. But let us not lose hope, because tomorrow we continue fighting for our loved ones. Tomorrow we continue supporting each other. And tomorrow we will continue saving lives. We've already saved one.
On this year's Transgender Day of Remembrance, we as Drexel's Queer People of Color organization want to honor the lives of all folks on the transgender and gender nonconforming spectrum.
It is inexcusable that transphobic violence and bigotry continues to rob us of the beloved lives of trans people, and each loss is truly devastating.
Trans people are our friends and loved ones, our neighbors and leaders, and they are worthy of humanity, dignity, love, and compassion.
Right here in Philadelphia, where Drexel is located, Dominic Remy Fells, Tatiana Hall, and Mia Green were murdered this year.
Dominic Remy Falls was a 27-year-old Black trans woman from York, Pennsylvania. She was beloved by her family, who said she was truly one of a kind. One friend said she lived her truth so loud, you could hear her from a mile away.
Tatiana Hall was a 22-year-old Black trans woman from Iverington, New Jersey. One relative said that she had the prettiest smile and just liked to have fun.
Mia Green was a 29-year-old Black trans woman. She is remembered for making people laugh and having a sweet spirit.
These are only the few names and stories we know of. We must remember the lives of trans people who are murdered by systematic injustice and transphobia. For all the lives and deaths of the named trans people that we know about, there are too many more whose names and lives we do not know. We must celebrate their lives in our memory, and we must celebrate the lives of the trans people who are with us today.
Trans Day of Remembrance for me is a day of reflection. Every day we have to live in the fact that society was not made for us. Not made for those of us who are trans femme or trans masc or non-binary. Not made for those of us who are immigrants or have disabilities or are people of color. Just not made for us. We have to exist with that knowledge and somehow keep getting up and going about our lives, while wondering if someone we happen to interact with is going to take offense to our very existence. For me, today is a day that I let myself feel all of that. A day that I don't force myself to pretend that I'm okay. A day that I let myself remember and I let myself grieve. Last year, when we were in person, I gave a very similar speech about taking space to grieve in community and picking back up the next day to do the work. This year has been one of even more death and grief than the one before. But it's also a year of immense movement and solidarity and perseverance. It would be so easy to wallow in my grief, alone and isolated. But that's not what today is. Today is to remember the family we've lost and to fight like hell for those of us who are still here and those of us who have yet to be born.
Today is a day of reflection. Today is a day to open ourselves up, to truly remember and mourn the lives of those we have lost in our community. It's a reminder to ourselves that as we move forward, we cannot go without acknowledging those who have fought and those who have suffered for our rights, our freedoms, our acknowledgement, and the ability to live as who we are. Today is a reminder that we have to keep fighting, a reminder that we cannot let the deaths of so many transgender people in our community be in vain. Our community has come a long way in gaining acceptance, and yet this year has been the most dangerous for transgender people on record. It's the efforts of so many trans people that have gotten us as far as we have, and it is our responsibility to continue the fight for acceptance. We must take today to mourn and remember, to know their names. Then we must take tomorrow to work towards equality, for a world where transgender people won't need to face this threat to their safety just for living as who they are.
My name is Rabbi Isabel de Koninck, and I am the Hillel Director here at Drexel University. It is my honor and privilege to again join you all to mark Transgender Day of Remembrance. In the Jewish community, we have a tradition when we mention the name of a deceased person, we say, "May their memory be for a blessing," meaning may those who remain in this world derive blessing from remembering those who have departed. Recently, a new tradition has begun to take root in the Jewish community. While we still say, "May their memory be for a blessing," when speaking of activists or those who died at the hands of injustice, some now say, "May their memory be for a revolution." That is my hope for all the souls we remember today, that their memories bring both blessings and revolutions. I want to invite you to take a quiet moment, a few deep breaths, and call to mind the face, the name, the story of someone you want to remember today. Look into the light of their eyes, the light of their memory. Acknowledge the pain, the sadness, the grief, and try to find their blessing and their revolution. What would they want from you today? How do you want their life to change yours, to change the world? Maybe you feel them blessing you with courage. Maybe their blessing for you is strength or vulnerability. Maybe they want to give you the gift of a louder voice or the equanimity necessary to survive a challenge that you are facing. Maybe they are blessing you with the fuel you need to do the work of protest and resistance. Maybe they are blessing you with the love, freedom, peace, or hope you need in this moment. Breathe in that blessing. Allow that transcendent blessing to fill you, to transform you. As we are blessed by their legacies, we hope that their souls too find blessing and peace. And today we promise that we will not squander their legacies and we will not treat the blessings they have given us lightly. We promise to be there for one another in moments of joy and moments of pain. We promise to offer a listening ear and offer a hand of support. And we promise that we will not stand silently when faced with those who would deny trans rights or trans existence, but that we will step proudly into their legacies of resistance. That even though some have died with dignity and others in utter despair, we promise that we will remember their faces, their names, and their stories. May their memories bring us many blessings and a revolution of love, acceptance, kindness, peace, and protection.
We raised Drexel transgender flags on all 3 campuses as a sign of solidarity. November 20th is a symbol to highlight the lack of safety and security that some of our fellow dragons face every day. We not only use this day to mourn and uplift, but also continue to fight toward a better existence for all people. Dustin Parker, 25. Alexa Luciano Ruiz. Yampi Méndez Arocho, 19. Scottlynn Devore, 51. Monica Diamond, 34. Lexi, 33. Johanna Metzger. Serena Angelique Velasquez Ramos, 32. Layla Palas Sanchez, 21. Penelope Diaz Ramirez. Nina Pop. Hal J. O'Regan, 20. Tony McDade. Dominique Remy Fells. Rhea Milton, 25. Jane Thompson, 33. Selena Reyes Hernandez, 37. Brian Egypt Powers, 43. Brayla Stone, 17. Mercy Mack, 22. Shockey Peters, 32. Bree Black, 27. Summer Taylor. Marilyn Cazares. Dior H. Ova. Quisha D. Hardy, 22. Aja Raquel Roan Spears. Lee Rayshawn Day, 28. Key Sam. Aron Bennett. Mia Green, 29. Michelle Michelin Ramos Vargas. Felicia Harris, 33. Brooklyn Deshauna, 20. Sarah Blackwood. Angel Unique, 25.